The year 1978 changed television forever when a gentle sitcom about a wealthy white widower adopting two young black brothers from Harlem premiered on NBC. Diff'rent Strokes wasn't just funny, it was revolutionary. It tackled racism, child abuse, drug addiction, and illiteracy with a perfect balance of humor and heart that made millions of Americans laugh while learning. The show gave us catchphrases we still quote, characters we still love, and moments that still move us nearly 5 decades later. But behind the laughter, behind the studio lights and the applause, lived real people whose journeys after the cameras stopped rolling tell a story far more complicated than any sitcom script. Today, we're taking an honest, respectful look at where life took them, what they built, what they lost, and how their legacy continues touching new generations who discover the show for the first time. Charlotte Rae stepped into the Drummond household at 52 years old, bringing a warmth that felt like coming home. Born in 1926, she played Edna Garrett, the housekeeper who ran that chaotic household with military precision wrapped in maternal kindness. What most viewers never knew was that Charlotte herself planted the seed for one of television's most beloved spin-offs. When an episode sent Kimberly off to boarding school, Charlotte approached the producers with a simple pitch: what if Edna followed her there to work? That conversation grew into The Facts of Life, which ran for 9 seasons and made Mrs. Garrett an enduring icon. Charlotte remained active in theater and television throughout her life, married composer John Strauss and raised 2 sons, and never stopped bringing that signature warmth to every role. She passed away in 2018 at 92 from bone cancer, leaving behind a legacy of kindness that her colleagues still speak about with genuine affection. When Mary Jo Catlett took over the housekeeper role as Pearl Gallagher at 44, she brought something entirely different to the Drummond kitchen. Born in 1938, Mary Jo arrived with serious Broadway credentials, having originated a role in the original 1964 production of Hello, Dolly, opposite Carol Channing. That theater training gave her impeccable comic timing that made Pearl instantly lovable. But her most unexpected legacy came decades later when she became the voice of Mrs. Puff in SpongeBob SquarePants, that anxious driving school teacher who somehow never learned that SpongeBob would never pass her class. For over 100 episodes, Mary Jo made children laugh without ever appearing on screen. Now 87 in 2026, she remains active in voice work, living quietly with her family while keeping her private life carefully guarded. Her career spans 8 decades of American entertainment, a remarkable achievement for anyone. Shavar Ross was only 9 years old when he became Dudley Johnson, Arnold's best friend who matched him joke for joke. Born in 1971, Shavar beat out hundreds of child actors for that role, but nobody knew the weight he carried while filming. During production of the famous child molestation episode, That Gut-Wrenching Hour where Dudley is abused by a bicycle shop owner, Shavar was silently enduring a similar experience in his real life. He performed that trauma while living it, which explains why that episode remains devastatingly authentic 40 years later. Today at 55, Shavar has transformed that pain into purpose. He became a film director, producer, and spiritual mentor through his company T7 Media, helping others navigate the entertainment industry while maintaining their souls. He married, raised children, and speaks openly about his journey from wounded child to healed adult, proving that our worst moments can become our greatest ministry. Gary Coleman was only 10 years old when he became the biggest star on television. Born in 1968, that tiny body with the giant voice delivered "Watch You Talkin' 'Bout, Willis" into American cultural history. He was discovered through a McDonald's commercial, a funny coincidence considering how fast fame would consume him. Gary stood 3 feet 8 inches tall due to congenital kidney disease, a condition that required multiple surgeries and left him physically vulnerable while navigating an industry that devours child stars whole. His parents managed his career questionably, his fortune evaporated through mismanagement, and adulthood brought bitter lawsuits, financial ruin, and a humiliating job as a security guard, the same Gary Coleman protecting doors after millions adored him through screens. In 2010, at just 42 years old, he died from an intracranial hemorrhage after falling in his Utah home. Married twice, troubled constantly, Gary remains the cautionary tale that every child star story measures itself against. But ask anyone who met him, and they'll tell you he remained funny, sharp, and heartbreakingly human until the end. Todd Bridges was 13 when he became Willis Jackson, the protective older brother who brought street wisdom to Park Avenue. Born in 1965, Todd found something on that set he desperately needed: a real father. Conrad Bain, who played Mr. Drummond, treated Todd better than his own biological father ever had, offering guidance that extended far beyond acting tips. That relationship may have saved Todd's life when everything fell apart after the show ended. He descended into drug addiction, faced serious legal troubles, and watched his career vanish while his former co-star Dana Plato struggled similarly. But Todd did something remarkable: he survived. Now 62 in 2026, Todd has maintained decades of sobriety, returned to acting consistently, and become a passionate advocate for addiction recovery. He married in 2022, though reports indicate separation in 2026, and remains a devoted father to 2 children. His story isn't tragedy, it's resilience, a testament that falling down doesn't require staying down. Conrad Bain was 55 years old when he became television's favorite dad. Born in 1923, this Canadian-born actor brought dignity and warmth to Philip Drummond, a wealthy widower who simply believed that loving 2 boys from a different background was the most natural thing in the world. Conrad appeared in every single episode of the series, the only cast member who never missed a day. That consistency mattered because off-screen, he provided the same stability to his young co-stars that his character provided on-screen. Todd Bridges has spoken for decades about how Conrad genuinely mentored him, treated him like a son, and modeled what decent manhood looked like. Conrad remained married to Monica Sloan for decades, raised 3 children, and lived quietly after the show ended. He passed away in 2013 at 89 from natural causes following a stroke, remembered not as a famous actor but as a genuinely good man who happened to act. Dana Plato was 14 when she became Kimberly Drummond, the spoiled but sweet daughter learning to share her father with 2 new brothers. Born in 1964, Dana represented the all-American girl next door, and her pregnancy at 19 created scandal precisely because she embodied that wholesome image so completely. She left the show in 1984 when producers wrote her character off to boarding school, and what followed became one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking cautionary tales. Dana struggled with addiction, financial problems, and legal troubles. In 1999, at only 34 years old, she died by suicide following an overdose. She left behind 1 son and millions of fans who remembered her as that smiling girl on their television screens. Dana's story forces uncomfortable conversations about what the entertainment industry owes the children it consumes. She was warm, talented, and loved, and she died believing her best days were behind her. They weren't, but she couldn't see that through the darkness. Dixie Carter arrived at 45 to play Maggie McKinney, the fitness instructor who married Mr. Drummond and brought sophisticated energy to the household. Born in 1939, Dixie was already an established actress, but her time on Diff'rent Strokes lasted only 1 season. Reports circulated about creative differences and tension with young Gary Coleman, whose massive ego matched his massive talent. Producers eventually recast the role without explanation, and Dixie moved on to Designing Women, where she became Julia Sugarbaker and television royalty. She married 3 times, most notably to actor Hal Holbrook for 26 beautiful years until his death. In 2010, Dixie passed away at 72 from endometrial cancer, leaving behind a legacy of strength, elegance, and that magnificent voice that could deliver a monologue like nobody else. Danny Cooksey was only 9 years old when he joined as Sam McKinney, Maggie's young son who brought innocence back to the later seasons. Born in 1975, Danny had already been singing country music professionally since age 5, recording tracks before most children learned to read. That versatility served him well. After Diff'rent Strokes, he built a successful voice acting career in animated shows, becoming the voice of characters that new generations recognize even if they don't know his face. Now 50 in 2026, Danny remains married with children, keeps a deliberately low profile, and continues working in entertainment while protecting his family from the spotlight that burned so many of his colleagues. And finally, Janet Jackson appeared as a recurring guest star starting at just 14 years old. Born in 1966, she played Charlene Dupree, Willis's girlfriend who brought young romance and Jackson family star power to the show. Interestingly, producers asked Todd Bridges who he'd like as his on-screen girlfriend, and Janet was the name that emerged. That authentic chemistry made her appearances memorable even before she became the global icon we know today. Now 59 in 2026, Janet has conquered the music world, sold millions of albums, won Grammy Awards, and influenced generations of performers. But for fans of Diff'rent Strokes, she'll always be that sweet girl who made Willis smile. These stories remind us that television stars are human beings first. They laughed and struggled, succeeded and failed, lived and died just like the rest of us. The show that brought them together gave millions of families conversation starters about race, class, and family that television had never attempted before. That legacy matters. Those episodes still stream, still teach, still make us laugh and cry. And the people who made them possible, every single one, deserve to be remembered fully, honestly, and with the same warmth they brought into our living rooms all those years ago.